Using the works of others, a presentation of writing consultation services at Sacred Heart School of Theology. The Academy places a high value on the ability of students to understand and to take a position on whatever is being discussed. We need to be able to express our own ideas in our own words. The irony is, this cannot be done responsibly without knowing, referring to, and using the words of others. One of the most important skills to develop is the ability to integrate the words and thoughts of others into your own writing in a way that makes it clear you know the difference between your own thoughts and someone else's. Let's begin by making a distinction between quoting and citing. You can cite the material of others without quoting it. What if you were to write a paper about John Paul II? You have been reading a book about John Paul II in which the author says, John Paul II's pontificate can be divided into 3 distinct phases: the early energetic phase, the middle productive phase, and the final phase of suffering. That sounds to you like a great description of John Paul II's pontificate. So you say, as so-and-so has said, there are 3 periods in John Paul II's years as Pope: the energetic phase, the productive phase, and the suffering phase. You used the same ideas, but different wording. What you have done is cited the book you read without quoting it. There are 4 options for using the words and ideas of others: direct quotation, paraphrasing, also known as indirect quotation, summarizing, and using the structure or schema of another. In a direct quotation, you use the exact words of another. The quotation is placed in quotation marks. A direct quotation will usually be integrated into your own text. It will include a citation. We will discuss citations in a moment. A paraphrase or indirect quote will use wording that is similar to the original, but not exactly the same. There will be no quotation marks, but there will be a citation. A summary is a statement of the most important point or points in a large section of text. You will use your own words and phrases even more than in a paraphrase. One form of summarizing is to use a schema for interpreting that an author has developed. For instance, a Jesuit priest named Robert J. Spitzer developed a classically influenced schema for understanding what makes human beings happy. I may want to apply his schema to the religious life. I will cite him by saying, Father Robert J. Spitzer distinguishes between 4 levels of happiness: laetus, felix, beatitudo, sublime beatitudo. I am going to apply the 4 levels to the religious life. Then I might have a paragraph that applies each of these 4 levels to aspects of the religious life. Note that my introductory sentence has a citation. You should never allow your quotations to do your arguing for you. They are supports for your own thoughts. Be sure to introduce any quote indicating the source and perhaps the credentials of the person quoted. For example, if I were going to quote Steve Jobs, I would introduce the quote by saying, as Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple Computers, said when introducing the Macintosh computer. I'm not sure how often you will have an opportunity to quote Steve Jobs in a theology paper, but you never know. Even more importantly, you should be sure to interpret or point out the significance of any quotation you use. The quote should not be the key sentence in the paragraph. For instance, in this paragraph, the key sentence is highlighted. Such an increase indicates that the importance of the automobile is growing rather than waning. The rest of the paragraph consists of material from researcher Doug Duxon to support my main assertion. Each time I use Duxon's material, I use a parenthetical reference or citation. As promised, we will now look at ways to annotate citations. An annotation is a way to tell a reader where you got the material you are using, whether you are quoting or just paraphrasing. Such annotations are often simply called citations. There are two common systems of citation: the parenthetical works cited system and the note bibliography system. The parenthetical system puts the citation in the text of the paper inside parentheses. It includes the author's name, the date of publication, and the page number. There is no footnote. Full bibliographical information is placed on the Works Cited page at the end of the paper. The second system of annotation is the note bibliography system. A number is all that appears within the text of the paper. It refers to a numbered footnote at the bottom of the page, or to an endnote that appears on a separate page at the end of the paper. Once again, a full citation appears at the end of the paper in the bibliography. Most word processing programs have a feature that automatically creates a footnote or endnote number and entry. You will often see this system used in theological journals. Sacred Heart School of Theology uses parenthetical citations. We use the system described in a manual for writers of research papers, theses, and dissertations by Kate L. Turabian. Copies of Turabian are available on the reserve shelf in the library under Writing Consultation Services and in the bookstore. See the Sacred Heart School of Theology Style Manual, page 4, for details and examples. Always write down the bibliographical information as you are gathering the quotations or citations. One thing you will want to avoid is getting to the end of your paper and finding you did not have the information you needed to construct your citations or works cited page.
Great, I'm done with my paper. Now I'm ready to write my citations. Oh dear, I didn't write down the information. How in the world am I going to find it in all this?
What information do you need to get for citations? You need the author or authors, the editors, the name of the book or article, the edition information, page numbers, place of publication, the name of the publisher, year and date of publication. For periodicals, you also need the volume and the number and the date of publication. For web pages, you need to know the name of the site, the name of the page, the author if available, the URL, and the date you accessed it. There is one more thing to consider before we close: plagiarism and how to avoid it. To plagiarize is to use the material of others, whether you quote it or just paraphrase, without properly annotating or citing the source. It is a very serious offense, subject to serious penalties. I can tell you that professors do not like it. The antidote is simple. Give a citation for any material borrowed from any source, including the Bible or your best friend. This includes direct quotations, paraphrasing or indirect quotations, summarizing, and using another's structure. You will need to create citations not only for books and journal articles, but also for web pages and multimedia sources. In our day of online sources, don't forget, if you cut and paste, you need quotation marks and a citation.
Wait, is there any information that I don't have to make a citation for?
Well, yes. If it is common knowledge, it does not have to be cited.
For example?
Lincoln's birthday, for instance, or the fact that Messiah means anointed one. Now you have the tools necessary to use the ideas of others to enhance your own writing. There are 3 points you should keep in mind. Using the material of others goes beyond quoting. It includes paraphrasing and summarizing. Do not let your quotations argue for you. And be sure to create proper citations. Keep that style manual close at hand. If you need any further help in developing good citation habits, contact the Writing Skills Associate at rgocher@shst.edu.